June 4th, 1942, 4 in the morning, 240 miles northwest of Midway Island. Dawn light breaks cold over the Pacific. Below, nothing but black water. Above, clouds streaked pink and gray. 6 F4F Wildcats, 12 torpedo bombers crawling ahead, slow, fat, vulnerable. The Wildcat cockpit shakes. Engine roar fills everything. Oil smell, sweat on leather, hand grips throttle, tight. Radio crackles. Calm voices, position reports, altitude checks. Then, bogeys. Bogeys high, 9 o'clock. Eyes snap left, up, dots. Small, growing, 15, 20, more. Japanese zeros, diving fast. Sun behind them. Radio explodes, voices overlapping, fear bleeding through static. The math is simple. 6 Wildcats, 20 zeros. The zero turns faster, climbs faster, wins faster. Every American pilot knows it. The Wildcat loses one-on-one, always. The hand reaches for the radio transmit button. One word, a word nobody outside this squadron has ever heard in combat. Weave, throttle slam forward, wings tilt, the formation splits. Not apart, but together. A pattern, deliberate, rehearsed. The zeros close, 1,000 yards, 800, 500. Tracers arc through the dawn. In 20 minutes, this maneuver will change air combat forever. But this wasn't luck, this was mathematics. And it started 9 months earlier on a kitchen table in California with a box of matches. 1941, USS Saratoga, somewhere in the Pacific. Lieutenant Commander John Smith Thach, 36 years old, commanding officer, Fighting Squadron 3. His pilots called him Jimmie, not because he was friendly, though he was, but because nobody could pronounce his last name, Thach, Thach. Thach didn't fit the fighter pilot mold. No cigar, no swagger. He carried notebooks, drew diagrams, asked questions that made other commanders uncomfortable. Why do we fly in threes? What if the enemy turns tighter than us? What's the math? The Navy had answers. Standard doctrine, 3-plane V formation, Vic formation. Leader in front, 2 wingmen behind and to the sides. Tight, discipline, beautiful in the air. Thach hated it because he'd seen what happened when the formation broke. One plane attacked, the wingmen scatter. Everyone fights alone, and alone, you don't survive. VF-3 was good, maybe the best squadron in the Pacific, but good wasn't enough. Thach knew it. He just didn't know how to fix it. Not yet. September 22nd, 1941. A manila envelope. Classified intelligence bulletin. Subject, Japanese Type 0 carrier fighter. Code name, Zero. Thach opened it in his stateroom, read slowly, felt his stomach drop. Maximum speed, 331 miles per hour. Rate of climb, 5,000 feet per minute. Turn radius, tighter than anything in the American inventory. Armament, 2 20mm cannons, 2 7.7mm machine guns. Combat reports from China. American volunteer pilots, flying Tigers engaging Zeros over Chongqing, Kunming, Rangoon. The reports were short because most of the pilots who met the Zero didn't come back. Thach pulled out the specs for his own plane. Grumman F4 Wildcat. Maximum speed, 318 miles per hour, 13 miles per hour slower. Rate of climb, 2,300 feet per minute, less than half. Turn radius, 30% wider. He did the math. Wildcat versus Zero, one-on-one dogfight. The Zero would get behind the Wildcat every time. Guns on target, victory assured, 30 seconds, maybe less. The 3-plane formation wouldn't help. If a Zero attacked the leader, the wingman couldn't turn tight enough to assist. By the time they closed the angle, their leader would be lost. Thach closed the folder, stared at the bulkhead. His squadron, 18 pilots, flew Wildcats. New planes? Not coming. The Navy had orders in for the F4F Hellcat, but production wouldn't start until late 1942. Deliveries? Maybe 1943. The war wouldn't wait that long. Thach walked through the squadron ready room. Pilots playing cards, reading letters, cleaning guns. Young faces. 22, 24, 26. One of them looked up. Ensign Edward O'Hare, 27 years old. Sharp, fast reflexes. Best pilot in the squadron after Thach. Skipper. Thach nodded, kept walking. He couldn't tell them. Not yet. Couldn't say, you're flying a plane that's slower, clumsier, and outgunned, and if you meet a Zero in a fair fight, you won't survive. That night, Thach sat at the small desk in his quarters, pulled out paper, drew 2 aircraft, one American, one Japanese, drew the turning circles, measured angles. The Zero's turning circle was smaller, always. physics didn't negotiate. So don't turn with it, don't fight fair. But how? The Navy wanted him to follow doctrine. 3-plane formations, aggressive attacks, press the advantage. What advantage? Thach crumpled the paper. Started again. 2 days later, USS Saratoga docked in San Diego. Shore leave. VF-3 dispersed to hotels, bars, families. Thach went home. Coronado, small house near the base. His wife asked about dinner. He barely heard her. He was staring at the kitchen table, at the box of matches near the stove, and an idea, fragile, half-formed, impossible, started to take shape. Evening, October 1941. Coronado kitchen, yellow light from a single bulb. Thach cleared the cable, placed 2 matchsticks parallel, 6 inches apart. American Wildcats. 1 matchstick perpendicular, faster, tighter turns, the 0. He moved the 0 behind the first Wildcat. Attack position, guns on target. The second Wildcat couldn't help. Too far, wrong angle. He moved the matches again, closer formation, same result. The 0 turned inside both. Again, different spacing. Again. 10 p.m. His wife went to bed. Thach stayed, moving matches, erasing pencil lines, drawing new ones. Midnight. The coffee went cold. What if the Wildcats didn't fly parallel? He spread them wider, angled, far enough apart that their flight paths could cross. The 0 attacks the first Wildcat. It turns not away, but toward the second Wildcat. The 0 follows, committed, tight turn, and flies directly across the second Wildcat's guns. Thach stared at the pattern on the table, the crisscross, the weave. On paper, it worked. Paper doesn't shoot back. November 1941. Morning briefing, VF-3 ready room. Thach stood in front of a chalkboard, drew 2 aircraft, crossing flight paths. We're changing the formation, pairs instead of 3s. You'll fly line abreast, wide separation. When attacked, you turn into your wingman. Silence. One pilot raised his hand. Skipper, that puts us on a collision course. Yes. At 300 miles per hour. Yes. More silent. Ensign O'Hare leaned forward. When do we start? 1 p.m. 6 Wildcats, airborne over San Diego. Clear sky, calm air. Thach and O'Hare flew as one section. 2 more Wildcats, aggressors, played the 0. Full throttle, maximum performance. Thach and O'Hare, throttles reduced, simulating the Wildcats' disadvantage. Radio call. Attackers inbound. You're 6 o'clock high. Thach checked mirrors. 2 Wildcats diving. Fast. Butch, on my mark, turn into me. 3, 2, 1, break. Both Wildcats turned hard, toward each other. Thach saw O'Hare's plane growing in his windscreen. 500 feet, 300, closing. Stick pressure, G-forces, vision narrowing. 200 feet, he rolled out. O'Hare flashed past, 30 feet separation. The attacking Wildcat, following Thach, flew directly in front of O'Hare. Guns, 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 O'Hare called. Victory. Thach's heart hammered, hands shaking on the stick. It worked. But 30 feet, at 300 miles per hour, one mistake, one miscalculation, and 2 Wildcats collide. Fireballs. Crews lost. They practiced again and again. December, January, February. Every flight, the risk. Every flight 30 feet from disaster. O'Hare never complained, never hesitated. Thach lay awake at night, saw the crashes that hadn't happened yet, pilots' faces, widows, telegrams. He was teaching them to fly at each other. If it failed, if someone was lost in training, it was on him. If he stopped, if he went back to standard doctrine, they wouldn't survive against the 0. Both choices meant losing pilots. December 7th, 1941. Sunday morning, Pearl Harbor. The radio report came through at noon California time. Japanese carrier strike, battleship row burning, thousands of casualties. VF-3 scrambled to the ready room, waiting for orders. Any orders. Thach looked at his pilots. O'Hare, the others, young, eager, afraid. The 0 wasn't a theory anymore. It was hunting. January 1942. War spread like fire. Philippines falling. Singapore besieged. Wake Island lost. Intelligence reports filtered back. 0 combat ratios. 6 to 1. 8 to 1. American pilots ejecting. Burning. Lost. Thach pushed the training harder. Every day. Pairs flying. Weaving. Closer passes. Tighter coordination. One pilot asked, "Skipper, has anyone done this before?" "No." "Has it been tested in combat?" "No." "So we're the guinea pigs." Thach met his eyes. Yes, the pilot nodded. Strapped in, flew anyway. May 1942, orders came down. VF-3 transferred from USS Saratoga to USS Yorktown. Immediate deployment. Destination? Classified. Intelligence whispers. Japanese carrier task force moving east. Target? Midway Island. The entire Pacific balance hung on one battle. Soon, Thach gathered his pilots. Final briefing. The weave works in training against our own planes at reduced speeds. He paused. But we've never faced a real Zero. We don't know if they'll follow the pattern. We don't know if we can execute under fire. We don't know if the theory survives contact with the enemy. O'Hare spoke up. What if it doesn't work? Thach looked at him, at all of them. Then we find out the hard way. June 3rd, 1942, late afternoon, USS Yorktown, 240 miles from Midway. Thach walked the flight deck, checked his Wildcat, oil levels, ammo belts, guns bore-sighted, everything ready, everything untested. That night he couldn't sleep, lay in his bunk, listened to the carrier's hull creak, engines thrumming. Tomorrow morning, 4 a.m. launch, torpedo strike against the Japanese fleet. His 6 Wildcats, 12 slow torpedo bombers, and somewhere out there, how many Zeros? He closed his eyes, saw matchsticks on a kitchen table, saw O'Hare's face, 27 years old, following orders, trusting his skipper.
Saw the pattern, the weave, the theory. Tomorrow, it became reality, or it became wreckage in the Pacific. 4 a.m., June 4th, 1942. 6 Wildcats, 12 torpedo bombers ahead, black water below. Radio crackle. Bogies! 9 o'clock high! Thach looked left, up. Zeros. 15, maybe 20, diving out of the dawn sun. His throat tightened. Months of training, kitchen table theory, matchsticks and coffee. Now, he keyed the radio. One word. Weave! Throttles forward. Thach and his wingman, ram dibs split wide, 200 feet separation. Second section mirrored them. The pattern formed. Line abreast, wide spacing. The Zeros closed, 1,000 yards. 800. Thach's hands were steady on the stick, sweat cold on his neck. 500 yards. First Zero committed, came in fast, guns tracking Thach. Ram, break into me, now! Both Wildcats turned hard toward each other. G-forces crushed down, vision tunneling, Dib's plane growing in the windscreen. The Zero followed Thach, tight turn, confident, faster turning circle, guns tracking. Thach held the turn, 300 feet from Dib. 200. The Zero crossed. Dib's guns opened. 50 caliber tracers. 6 streams converging. The Zero's canopy shattered. Smoke poured. Wing dipped. Spinning. Down. First victory. 9 months. One theory confirmed. More Zeros dove, attacking from all angles. Thach's radio filled with calls. Break left. On your 6. Weave! Weave! Second section. 2 Wildcats, tangled with 3 Zeros. The Wildcats turned into each other, crossing. The Zeros followed, straight into crossing fire. 1 Zero smoking, falling. Third Zero came at Thach from high. Steep dive, 400 miles per hour. Thach broke right, hard. Dib crossed left. The Zero tried to follow both, hesitated, split second. Thach reversed, pulled lead. Guns on target, trigger, 50 calibers hammered, shell casings ejected, hot brass smell, cordite. The Zero's engine erupted, flames streaming, pilot bailed, chute opening, 2 down. The fight scattered, Wildcats weaving, Zeros attacking, then breaking off, confused.
Japanese pilots trained for individual dogfights, one-on-one samurai duels. This wasn't a duel. This was geometry. 2 planes acting as one. Every attack became a trap. 4th Zero tried a beam run. Thach's wingman turned into Thach. The Zero committed. Thach reversed, got angles, fired. Hits on the fuselage. The Zero broke hard, dove away, trailing smoke. 5th Zero, smarter, refused to commit. Slashed through, fired, missed, kept speed, escaped. The others learned, stopped pressing, made passes and disengaged. 20-minute running battle, tracers crossing sky, smoke trails spiraling down. Then, silence. The Zeros pulled off, climbed east, gone. Thach checked his fuel, his ammo, his squadron, radio calls. Lead, this is 2, I'm up. 3 up, 4 up, all 6 Wildcats intact, no losses. Thach looked down, counted the splashes, the oil slicks, 4 Zeros in the water. confirmed victories. VF-3 had met the most lethal fighter in the Pacific, outnumbered 3-1 and won. The weave worked. Thach scanned ahead, looking for the torpedo bombers. 12 TBD Devastators, slow, lumbering toward the Japanese fleet. He saw smoke, black columns rising, counted the Devastators still flying. 2, 10 gone. Shot down while the Wildcats fought zeros. No fighter cover, no protection. Vulnerable. Slaughtered. The radio crackled. Weak signal. Torpedo squadron leader. Hits on 2 carriers. Were coming home. 2 planes out of 12. Thach circled. Watched them climb. Engines struggling. Bullet holes in wings. Below, the ocean. 10 crews. 30 men gone. He'd saved his fighters, protected his squadron. The weave worked perfectly, but not for them. Not for the men he came to protect. Thach keyed the radio. All Wildcats returned to Yorktown. They turned west. Dawn light behind them now. Long shadows on the water. His fuel gauge showed red. 30 minutes to carrier. He flew in silence. Hands still steady. The math worked. Matchsticks to reality. Theory to practice. 4 zeros destroyed. 6 Wildcats home.
But 10 torpedo bombers, burning in the Pacific. Innovation worked. War didn't care. USS Yorktown, 7 a.m. Flight deck. Thach climbed out of his Wildcat, legs shaking. Adrenaline draining. Deck crew swarmed, counting bullet holes, refueling, rearming. The air group commander met him at the island. Report, 4 zeros confirmed. No losses. Silence. No losses? 0. The commander stared, turned, walked to the radio. By noon, Thach's combat report was transmitted to every carrier in the Pacific Fleet. By evening, the Battle of Midway was over. 4 Japanese carriers sunk. The tide turned. VF-3's tally, 13 bombers destroyed, 3 fighters, 6 Wildcats returned intact. Thach sat in the ready room, writing, hands still steady now. Tactics employed, mutual support, line abreast formation, defensive weave pattern. Effectiveness, high. 0 advantages negated through coordinated maneuver. He paused, thought of the 10 torpedo bomber crews, the oil slicks. Added 1 line, escort mission, partially successful. August 1942, Naval Air Station, Corpus Christi, Training Command. New fighter pilots, fresh from flight school, learned a new formation. Not 3 planes, 2. Turn into your wingman, cross paths. The enemy follows, flies into your partner's guns. They called it the Thach Weave. By October, every Navy fighter squadron in the Pacific flew it. Standard doctrine, official procedure. The doctrine Thach hated, 3-plane formations, quietly disappeared from the manuals. 1943, the zeros still turned tighter, still climbed faster, but American pilots stopped being lost at 8-to-1 ratios. The weave didn't make the Wildcat better, it made the pilots smarter. 1950, Korea, F-86 Sabres versus MiG-15s, different war, different planes, jet engines, Mach speeds, same tactic. 2 ship elements, mutual support, crossing patterns. Thach's matchstick mathematics translated to supersonic. 1980s, FA-18 Hornets, fighting wing formation, line abreast, wide spacing, defensive cross turns.
Navy pilots learned it, never knew the name of the man who invented it on a kitchen table in 1941. John Thach kept innovating. 1944, he developed the Big Blue Blanket, layered fighter defense around carrier task forces, concentric circles, overlapping coverage. 0 kamikaze attacks, once devastating, became costly failures. 1952, captain. 1955, rear admiral. 1960, Vice Admiral. 1967, retired, full admiral, 34 years of service. April 15, 1981, Coronado, California. John Thach passed away, age 76. The Navy named a building after him, a memorial, a plaque, but his real memorial flew every day in formations he designed, using tactics he invented with matches. Thach never saw a zero until June 4, 1942. He defeated it 9 months earlier, on paper, with matches, through analysis. The Japanese had the better plane, better speed, better maneuverability, better engineering. They lost the tactic, because innovation doesn't require superior technology, it requires superior thinking. The Wildcat didn't change, the doctrine changed. And doctrine, written on chalkboards, taught in classrooms, transmitted by radio, moves faster than production lines. War rewards adaptation. But adaptation has a cost. Thach saved his fighters, not the torpedo bombers. Not all of them. Innovation works, but it never works perfectly, never saves everyone. That's the price. Somewhere over the Pacific, 2 F-35s on patrol, line abreast, wide spacing, mutual support. If one is attacked, they turn into each other, cross paths. The enemy, whoever they are, flies into crossing fire. It's called tactical weaving. Most pilots don't know why. They don't know about matchsticks on a kitchen table, about a 36-year-old squadron commander who refused to accept that his pilots were doomed. They just know it works, because some problems can't be solved with better weapons. They're solved with better ideas. And the best ideas, born in desperation, proven in combat, refined under fire, outlive their inventors. They fly.